How are you?
I'm good. I'm Bill Alden with the Town Topics. Nice to see you guys. I think we've met, Joe.
Yeah, yeah.
Just let me just ask you, Joe. You've been the head coach for about a month. What has this been like? How are things different for you?
I mean, obviously the timing was a little hectic.
Right.
When I got the job, three days later, we had our largest recruiting visit, so that was a little stressful. Just doing some new things that I wasn't in charge of before, while also kind of doing the things I was in charge of
Okay.
prior. So, but probably the first 2 weeks were stressful, but now I feel like I got my legs under me. We're focusing on our training
Hmm.
with the Princeton Open coming up in about 2.5 weeks.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, again, I'm excited about the new role and about this young team with new faces. And yeah, I mean, we have a good energy going on right now.
What was kind of your message to the wrestlers after you took the helm? I mean, did you have a meeting with them and just kind of?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, John Mack came down and addressed the team
Okay.
and kind of introduced me as head coach. And then after that, that's where I addressed the team just as the new head coach and kind of tell them that there's going to be a lot of like continuity
Hmm.
between myself and Chris. So there's going to be a lot of things that are going to stay the same, and we're
Right.
just going to tweak some things. I think the biggest thing that I emphasized was energy. We needed new energy. We needed, it's almost like we had a kind of a lull last season, and we really wanted to kind of, put that on the forefront of our minds.
Hmm.
Every practice, every competition, every match, we want to be energized and carry that brand into our competition.
Does it help to have Sean on board and bringing Quincy on board? I mean, does that help the
Oh,
transition up?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sean being here, man, I think he's going into his 12th year,
Right.
so he's been along for the ride the whole time. And then Quincy being able to live it, I think
Right.
that's
So recently.
something that's unique, right? Where these guys, they were alongside him last year, competing with him, and now he is sort of an authority figure. But I think they trust him because he's been through it. And then with the freshmen, again, they can really go to him
Hmm.
about things that he experienced when he was a freshman. So I think it's really good.
You have him back, but you lost some great seniors. What's kind of the void with those guys gone, and what kind of influence have they left on the returners? Do you think?
Yeah, those were big shadows, for good or bad, right?
Yeah.
And now that they've moved on, it gives guys like these guys, Nate and Luke, a chance to really step in and create their own legacy. And kind of be in the spotlight a little bit. Same thing with freshmen that are really vying for a chance to make the lineup and be an All
Mhm.
American and continue the awesome things that senior class did. So yeah, I mean, they brought this program to where it is right now, and
Mhm.
now it's up to this team to kind of carry it forward and help us make another jump.
Is Pat's title kind of inspiration for you guys? I mean, to
Yeah,
finally
yeah,
gotten broken through and gotten that title.
absolutely. I think it's also, to quote Chris Ayers, it's a proof of concept. He likes to talk about
Yes, I have heard that
proof
once or
of
twice.
concept. So, and now I think that's like that was the last piece of the puzzle that we needed to, I guess, convey to recruits that hey, you can come to the number one school in the country and still have dreams, realistic dreams of being
Right.
a national champion, because we've done it. So there are things out there that we still have to do from an athlete standpoint and a team standpoint, which excites me. Right,
Mm.
there's things that we haven't done that I think that this program can continue to chase down and do.
What about strengths of the group? I mean, what's been the vibe in the room so
Oh yeah,
far?
right. Big good vibe, right?
Good vibe. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a really high energy team.
Mm.
Reminds me a lot of my freshman year team, which I think was the year we won the Ivy. That's obviously promising. There's a lot of young guys, new faces,
Mm.
and I think that that's kind of kept some of the returners like in check, just like making sure that we're leading, by example. But their energy, they're excited. It's kind of bleeding out into the whole team, and
Mhm.
we've had some some really great workouts and some good momentum, I think.
Luke, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, the energy in the room has been off the charts. I think the turnover from last year, like you said, we lost a lot of big seniors who, paved the way for us. But the turnover, like, it just gives room for guys like me and Dugan to kind of lead the way and kind of bring these freshmen along and, be one team.
You went 4-11 in duels last year. I mean, is there a hunger to, like you talked about winning the Ivy League title early in his career, is there a hunger to do better in the duels and get back on the winning track there?
Absolutely. I think, last year, again, we were kind of chasing that individual national title, right?
Right.
That was something that we had the opportunity to get, and not saying that we lost sight of the duels, but it's really, again, we put a lot of effort into getting that national title, and we did it, right? We achieved it, but
Right.
Definitely didn't have the strongest lineup, just 10 guys that could go in there and win duels. I mean, not saying that they didn't compete hard or at at the level that they thought they could. But it's funny, I actually, I addressed the team yesterday, I believe, with a Bill Parcells quote. I don't know, word for word, but it really had to do with team, right? And what a good winning team does and how they come together. So that's really kind of what we're striving to do is again, pull this team together, all 32 guys that are on the team, the coaches, all moving in the same direction and trying to accomplish not only all the team goals, but all the individual goals also. So really kind of keeping the emphasis the same with both, again, the team and the individual.
Speaking of individuals, what are you expecting from Nate and Luke here? I mean, how are they looking? How have they progressed from last year?
Yeah, I mean, they both have extremely high goals. They want to be an All-American and a national champ. We meet every fall individually. The coaches and each of our guys have an individual meeting where we talk about, what their individual goals are, and what they have to do, on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis to try to achieve that goal. For me, it's not my expectations, right? I'm here to help them try to achieve whatever it is they want to achieve. So these guys, I mean, again, they put the work on the mat. They lead by actions, which is great. And I think that's what we need, right? We need leaders who are putting things into action, not just talking about it, right? So I expect what I do expect, and again, my expectations for them are the same as the other, again, 28, 30 guys on the team are to compete with energy, to bring our brand of wrestling every single match. Now their styles are very different from each other, from mine, but the brand is going to look similar. When fans are going to come to a Princeton match, they're not going to say we wrestle all the same technically, but they are going to say, "Wow, that's a tough, exciting team." And win or lose, I'm going to come back and I'm going to watch these Tigers.
That energy, I guess you're talking
exactly. So yeah, I mean, they can probably individually speak to what their goals are and what their expectations are, but I expect big things in regards to just how they compete.
What about other veterans who have made a jump, who you are depending on to do well this year? Who else?
Matt Cover. Yeah, Matt Cover is another NCAA qualifier on the team. I expect a big jump. He's been doing some amazing things. He's always had a high work ethic, and I think he's going to be putting some things together on the competition side. And I think for him, it's that urgency that this is your last go around.
Right.
And again, there's no pressure, right? There shouldn't be pressure. It's something that you love. It's something that you enjoy. It's something that you've been doing for, probably 14 years of his life,
Right.
15 years. It's like you get to do this, be grateful, but also, again, leave no stone unturned. So definitely expecting big things for him. And then there's the freshman class again.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, do you expect a big impact from them? Or
Absolutely. I mean, they're probably, just from a ranking standpoint and maybe a talent standpoint, it's probably the best class we brought in.
Right.
But that doesn't mean anything when you get here, right? That's great. That's a good starting point. But what I think and has impressed these guys as veterans on the team is their willingness to just jump right in and to be leaders in action again. Like they're chasing down these two, right? Whether we're doing hill sprints or whether we're doing conditioning on the bikes, they're following these guys' lead and trying to pass them up, and that's what we want, right? We want every guy competing with each other to try and be the best. So I am expecting big things. Just again in regards to competition, go out there and compete. Carry our brand the way we want to be. We want to be looked at, and so as long as they do that, I see a lot of success in their future.
So it sounds like they're making a good transition. Like you said, you don't know what's on paper until you get here.
Yeah. What would you think? The freshmen, how do you think they're doing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, they're like you were saying, they're chasing the standard that's set at this program, and they're bought in. I think to our goals as a team, and they're bought into the level of work that it's going to take to get there. They've been here for a month and a half, 2 months now, and there's a lot of improvement in that short amount of time, and I'm looking forward to something like the Princeton Open where we can see them compete, see how close they are to representing the brand of wrestling that we're trying to put out on the mat, and just see how everything shakes out. But I think that they're definitely bought in, and I think this is a really, like you said, it's a talented class of kids, and I'm really excited to see
Are
what
they
happens.
pushing you, or you feel like they're?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think the buy-in has been like tremendous.
Yeah.
Coming in as a freshman, it's can be intimidating.
Sure.
You're coming out of high school, but I think that they're kind of like looking for blood. They got to kind of prove themselves. It's really showing through, and they're all in the room competing every day, really hard. They know we have the Princeton Open on the horizon, so I think they're just all gearing up for that, and the same goals in mind as us.
What about the opening part of the schedule? You got the Princeton Open, Navy, and then the Indiana and Rutgers. I mean, good tests, those 4 events.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Coach Gray put together a really good Princeton Open. He really heads that event. So I think it's going to be one of the tougher, just competition-wise, we've had, ever for the Princeton Open. So that's going to be a great first test. Then we go to the Navy Classic, and I think the great thing about the Navy Classic is that they're going to keep team score. So it'll give our guys an opportunity to have that tournament setting where hey, bonus points are going to matter. Wins are mattering, right? Winning that thing individually is going to help us try and win as a tournament or as a team. So that's going to be great, and it's going to be really good for our freshmen too that are possibly in the lineup or at that tournament. So that's a great test. I know there's quite a few Big Ten teams that are going to be there, teams that we normally wouldn't see during the year.
Okay.
So that's going to be a great test. And then it's special to, for my...
Talking about that Indiana, that's got to be your first duel as head coach.
Yeah, so that's special for me,
Right.
to wrestle my alma mater in my first dual meet as head coach. Across the way is Angel Escobedo, the head coach there, who was somebody who was on the team with me.
Right.
He was a freshman when I was a fifth-year senior and a training partner for me, and I also was able to coach him when he was a senior at Indiana. So a lot of special things are coming together for that dual meet in Jadlin. We're also going to be celebrating Pat Glory's national championship.
Okay.
So again, it's going to be an awesome day for Princeton wrestling and a special one for me. So.
And then this Rutgers duel, it was a crazy one last year. But it's been a great competition here the last several years. Just talk about that one too.
How special is that dual meet for you?
It's pretty important to me. I mean, they're a Big Ten team. They have a big name, big target on their back, and kind of just both being schools located in New Jersey. There's like that extra sense of rivalry. They're right down the road. There's a lot of guys that we've seen before in tournament settings.
Sure.
So I'm excited. We lost it last year pretty close, but I think this year we're going in there ready to make some noise.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the atmosphere of that duel was awesome. It's a rivalry duel. Battle for New Jersey's kind of on the line there with Ryder also in that like trophy thing. But we've got a lot of dates circled on this map or on the schedule.
Sure.
So we're ready to go, I think.
Yeah, that match is always special for
Yeah.
me. You know, being a Jersey guy, there's a
Right.
little more pride on the line. Especially being there at Rutgers, you know, it's probably the first time I've ever been booed by Jersey people. So,
That's
so-
a good thing. I guess it's a good thing in this situation.
yeah, and to look into the stands and I see friends of mine, you know, yelling at me to sit down. It's humbling to say the least. But yeah, it's a great atmosphere. It's going to be good. Again, it's good experience for the new guys that are going to be in the lineup. So again, that's going back to it. There's going to be a lot of new faces in this lineup, which is
okay.
very exciting. You know, and giving these guys a chance to make a name for themselves, and to be in an environment where we expect there's going to be 4,000 or 5,000, you know, people at that match.
Oh, sure.
You know, people love the Princeton Rutgers rivalry. You know, it's intense. It's intense, you know, like, hey, Scott Goodale's yelling at me, I'm yelling at Scott Goodale. It's good, right? It's good for wrestling. It's good for Jersey wrestling.
Plus, you owe them one after that mathematical whatever happened last year.
That was a killer. But again, you know, like
Right.
again, we were right in it to win it. And just like anything, right? And our guys have learned, like, hey, don't take anything for granted, right? You know, if you might be winning by 7, we need you to win by 9, you know, or you're winning by 11, we need you to win by 13 because it might come down to that criteria and match points and things like that. So we're extremely excited for that match. I'm, you know, again, I'm always pumped up to wrestle anybody.
Sure.
But in-state rivals are a little bit more.
Is that good prep for Midlands? I mean, you're looking to make a big effort at Midlands, not to get too far ahead of things.
Yeah. So again, this year, again, which we knew was going to be, you know, there was going to be new faces and young guys in the lineup. So we wanted to get more opportunities for them to get matches, right? So that's why we actually have a lot more tournaments on the schedule than in years past. So that will, again, give these guys opportunities to get 4 or 5 matches at a tournament. In regards to not just getting those one-off dual meets, you know, in December and things like that. So yeah, we're excited about the Midlands Championship. That's always a prestigious tournament. You know, I know these guys always get up for that type of tournament. So why don't you talk about the Midlands and what's that?
Yeah, it's a tough tournament. You know, it's right after Christmas, and everybody's out there, you know, making weight right after Christmas. It's kind of it's a hard travel thing, but it preps us for the end of the year. You know, not everything's going to be going 100% according to plan all the time, and you know, there's really good teams, and it's an opportunity if you can kind of bounce through that tournament. Like, you can take out some good guys, and you know, the regular season matters in terms of, you know, moving up rankings and just really trying to figure out the way that you want to compete at the end of the year. So, you know, Midlands is kind of a mock EIWA's mock national. So.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, just with the timing of it, right after Christmas, like you said, I mean, you'd probably rather be home with your family and everything, but the fact of the matter is that you are out there, and I think it serves as a pretty good, like, gauge. It's, you know, beginning of the new year, so it's kind of just building off the momentum that you built from our first couple competitions, and then, you know, hopefully seeing some new faces that you haven't wrestled. So there's a lot of good competition out there, and I think can really serve as kind of a marker point to where you need to go and, you know, what you need to work on throughout the rest of the season. But it's definitely a fun one. You know, you get a bunch of matches. It's a cool setting. The arena's pretty cool. I mean, you're with your team for I guess that'll be our second time in the tournament setting, but it's going to be cool to see everyone kind of building off of each other's wins and like that, just that energy.
Anything you want to add that we haven't covered, or?
Yeah, no, I mean, again, this is definitely an exciting year for us, you know, to just, again, tweak the program a little bit. We've been doing a lot of great things in years past, and we want to continue to build upon that momentum. But, you know, just like Chris had a vision for the program when he was here, I definitely have a vision and kind of want to put my own little spin on it and kind of, you know, stamp on the program. So, you know, again, the thing that we're going to be emphasizing, again, is energy. You know, we're going to be bringing that energy, win or lose. You know, I conveyed to these guys, like, hey, regardless of whether we win or lose, when our opponents step off the mat, we want to make sure that they don't want to wrestle us again. Again, whether they've won the match or lost the match. And I think that's something, it's easier to think about that than thinking about winning and losing. So if we can continue to do that, I think we're going to be very successful this year. I also talked about, every year we have a season theme. In years past, it's been burn the ships, and
Right, yeah, I
last year
remember
was
that.
last year was unfinished business.
Okay.
And so, or no, raise the stakes. Raise the stakes was last year. Unfinished business was the year before that. So this year, again, that's I think a little bit close to my personality is let's get wild. And one of the things, there's a lot of things you can go with that. We're
Sure.
tigers, we're in the wild, but
Right.
also again, if you ever see me in the corner, I get a little crazy, I get a little wild. But also, I think it's also, kind of releasing any pressure and expectation that these guys feel, right? And I told them the only expectations that matter are the expectations of us within the team, right? If you look out, if you pay attention to rankings and things like that, yeah, they're not going to have high expectations for this team because we do have a young and probably inexperienced team just from a lineup standpoint. So, we just have to stick together and stick to what our vision is, right? And what our competitive philosophies are. If we stick to that, stick to our brand, we're going to be successful. We're going to hit all the things that we want to do as a program.
Got it. Let me just ask the
Yeah,
Nate, just talk about your areas of progress last year and kind of things you worked on coming into this year.
Yeah, from an actual X's and O's standpoint, I think a lot of it was getting a good attack to both sides of the body and being threatening in that way, and then holding guys down on top at the end of periods. That can really change the way a match is going to go. If you're giving away a point at the end of a period, it turns over, that guy gets choice, he goes back down, and then things start to kind of get closer than they should be, or the way that it looks while you're wrestling. I think the attack to the other side of the body, being stingy on top, riding a guy out at the end of the period, and then just kind of coming into this season with like he was talking about, just like an attitude of gratitude.
Right.
This is the last go around.
Yes, your senior year.
Yeah, you can get a little like, oh, this is the last time I'm doing this, and get kind of caught up in things like that. But if you're just like, all right, I've done this for 18 years, this is the last one. This is awesome. Like I'm living out my dream really of being a college wrestler, and I'm really just trying to maximize that opportunity. And I think the technical stuff is good, but just being grateful for this season and only have 35 or 40 more matches at the very most, and making the most of all of those opportunities is going to be really important to me. And I know it's also important to this class of seniors. It's big. Like, we're thankful that we're back and we have this one more shot. So,
what has it been like having a new coach? And what was that kind of unsettling for you guys, or what is it the transition been like?
It wasn't unsettling because
Joe's been
Coach has been here for 13 of Coach years is 17.
Whatever.
11,
Yeah.
sorry.
Close enough.
It's all right.
Whatever.
I like that. So I was here longer.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not really a huge change, except for the things that he's talking about with the way practice might go or a little bit of the schedule change. But I think it was a pretty seamless transition. It happened very quickly.
Right.
But it's good to see somebody elevate through a program like Coach has, assistant to head coach. It's a natural thing to have happen.
You mentioned your class. What kind of things are you trying to do as leaders? Filling the void left by the guys.
Yeah, I think just leading by example is the biggest thing always. We have a lot of guys in this class that have put in the work and shown up in big moments and all that stuff, but really just leading by example, continuing to set the standard for these young guys. I think is important, and then also just bringing them along. Like Princeton is obviously bigger than just wrestling, so making sure that they're set in terms of academic stuff.
Juggling this stuff.
Yeah, if they have questions, if they need help, like everybody's a little different. They're going to talk to different people about stuff, but just being there for the young guys and kind of being the resource guy, so to speak.
Do you draw inspiration from what Pat did? Is that something that
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, Pat winning a national title is, I mean, I guess we keep stealing from Ayers, but it is proof of concept. And it's huge for the program. We can do it here. It's not that far out of the realm of possibility. And with all these, new faces and inexperience, is just, I mean, so much opportunity. These guys can reach the top of the sport, here. And, as returners, we're trying to get there ourselves and push this thing forward. Having Pat break through is great, but what would be better is, 3 All-Americans and a national champ now. So the further we can push this ball along and, wherever we can leave it, better than we found it. So.
Luke, what about your mindset coming this season? What kind of things did you work on to try to improve coming into? You're a junior, so you got 2 more years, right? So you're in good shape.
So obviously from a technical standpoint, there's always areas to improve. But I think the emphasis for me was more on like the mental side of it. Just approaching matches with like the same tenacity every time, going out there ready to compete like to the fullest of my capability every time. Something that we talk about. Just like sticking to the brand, like we mentioned, just going out there every time, like ready to wrestle, ready to scrap, and leaving that guy not wanting to wrestle like 1 more minute. So yeah, just going out there, competing my hardest, just putting a lot less pressure on myself. I think, like we've all been talking about, like we've been in the sport, our whole lives basically. So we've been doing it for a while, and I think if you recognize that, then you can kind of take some of the weight off your shoulders and just go out there and let it fly.
What do you take from your NCAA experience last year?
So my NCAA experience definitely wasn't what I wanted it to be. I went out there and went 0-2, so I mean that definitely wasn't what I wanted to leave that season with. And I think that kind of propelled me forward going in the summer and having areas to work on. And then coming back again, being back on campus, back in the room, the E-level of Jadwin, it's just been nice to get back in the room and, remembering why I'm doing the sport and, what I want to do with it, which is get to the top of the podium at the end of March. So just like remembering why I'm in it and, how grateful I am for everyone that's gotten me here, the new coaching, just been a great opportunity to like recognize how grateful we really are and how much opportunity there really is here.
Is it good to have Quincy in the room for you? I mean,
yeah, it's awesome. I mean, I got to be his teammate for 2 years. That whole group of seniors really paved the way for us. They left a really big impact. But Quincy, having him around, seeing him do it the last 2 years and make it to, he made a great run last year. Every time he goes out and competes, he goes out there and wrestles hard, and he has just a lot of good things that he can show us. His wrestling may not like transition to my exact same style, but same principles apply. Just the way he goes out there and attacks, and he sticks to his things, and I think I can learn a lot from him. He's been, showing a lot of guys a lot of different techniques and stuff, so it's been great to have him as a friend and as a coach.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm sure there's a friendship aspect to that.
Definitely.
Too. Yeah. Joe, one thing I want to ask you, are there any freshmen that you want to name that are really, you think are going to stand out, or do we have to just see what happens at the Princeton Open?
No, absolutely. I mean, there's guys who definitely have great opportunities to get into the lineup. I mean, if you just go like from a weight perspective, Drew Tice will probably be 25 for us. He's making he's making a sacrifice where he probably thought he was coming in at 33, and there was an opportunity where we don't have any 25-pounders, so he's gonna go down. But I also feel like he could be pretty damn successful at that weight. So I know it's gonna be hard for him to get down, but the best thing again about this team is we've all rallied around him. These guys have understand like what. It's going to be tough for him. He's making a sacrifice, and we're all going to be, it's like all hands on deck with him, right? Whatever he needs from us, from the coaching staff and the team, we're going to be there for him. And then you have Joe Dubuque, who's a New Jersey guy from Del Barton. Cody Tavoso is from Illinois at 149. And then also Tyler Vasquez, another guy from Del Barton. He'll be trying to push at 141. He was a 2-time state champ here in New Jersey, so he'll have a big following regardless.
Right.
And then Eli Rivera from Lake Highland Prep. He'll be trying to break into the lineup at 149.
Wow.
He was a two-time national prep champ, and Holden Garcia. He's definitely gonna, there's quite a bit of competition at 165. I think we have 4 or 5 guys at 165. So, he's definitely going to be right in the mix. He was a 2-time PA state finalist and a state champ his junior year. And then Anthony Moscatello, he'll be either 84 or 97, just depending on how much he's growing. Did I miss anybody from the freshman standpoint?
That's a lot of guys.
I hope I didn't. I know there's.
No,
I think there's.
I was just
9 of
curious as to some of the names because you mentioned freshman
Yeah,
class.
yeah. So I think again they are a large group. It's probably one of the largest classes we've brought in since I've been here. So there's definitely a lot of excitement from their end. Again, they're always ready. They're ready to attack the hill sprints.
They have that energy.
They have that energy, and again, they're buying right in, and that's what we need, right? We need buy-in, and I think we have buy-in. We have buy-in from every guy, from a freshman to a fifth-year senior. So it's exciting from my standpoint because I get to come in and I'm not always leading the energy charge, right? These guys are leading it, and I'm just following their lead now. Now we're almost kind of feeding off of each other. So that's what I want, And there's going to be lulls. There's going to be times where, hey, the school is going to be getting harder, and we talk about this in the room. It's a shared responsibility. There's not just one guy who's being the positive energy or the hype man or whatever. Like, this has got to come from the team. And one guy might be having a down day. We got to pick him up. We got to rally around him. We got to make sure he knows what's at stake. And that's our brand of wrestling. So, we talk about that a lot. Our brand.
His energy, the brand.
The energy, again, it's we talk about the way we compete. It's going to be tough. It's going to be aggressive. It's going to be exciting. We want guys who are tough in every single position for every second of the match. We want guys, we're going to take an analytical approach to wrestling, right? If we're aggressive and we shoot more than our opponent, the majority of the time we're going to score more takedowns and we're going to win more matches. And then just exciting, right? I mean, we want to be in positions where we can do exciting things technically and then also just positionally too, right? Because it's not about just winning matches. We don't want to be boring. We don't want to win every match 2-1 or 3-1. We want to be putting up points. We want to create an event and an atmosphere where fans want to come and watch us wrestle, right? Again, win or lose. Right, we could be the most exciting 4-11 team, right? And I think hopefully we're not 4-11, but if that's the case, we want fans to be like, man, Princeton, they wrestle hard. They are fun to watch, and that's what we want. We want people walking away from Javelin Gym, and we want to, when we're wrestling in enemy territory, we want their fans to be like, man, Princeton's tough. You know what? I like the way they wrestle. That's what I want. And that's, if we could do that, if we can have that on the forefront of our mind, we're gonna be really successful this year.
I think that's a good note.
Awesome.
And done.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
No,
This was
thank
awesome.
you guys.
So, hey, good job, guys. Thanks. You didn't do that bad.
That was really all I was trying to get out of here.
Oh, I forgot Xander.
I remember that.
Dang it.
What?
That's all right. Xander Silva,
There you go.
New Jersey guy, 57.
All right. I just wanted some names.
I left one guy out.